Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be kind of, I guess, a drama video. I don't want it to be like that because this is just pretty much all of my opinions. I wanted to do some different stuff on my channel for the time being because I'm kind of just not into makeup right now. Because a lot of serious stuff has been going on in the beauty community as of late, and I think that it's important to discuss these topics just to show you guys my opinions and to have a dialogue with you guys, because I don't want to just keep on doing makeup tutorials and focusing on beauty and not really discussing things that are very important, because I feel like as an influencer, even though I don't have a big influence right now, I feel like I want to be able to rouse people's emotions up so that we could have a proper conversation about stuff that is educated. Also, on my vacation, I got sunburn on my nose and stuff like that, as you guys probably know from Twitter, but I have kind of been in a little makeup funk and I don't really want to do too much makeup. I do obviously have a full face on now, but if you saw what was underneath it, you would be frightened. So I'm just going to be as is and just kind of take my channel in a different direction for the time being. So I'll put a pause on makeup tutorials for right now, but without further ado, let's get into these topics. The time that I was on vacation, a lot of really serious things went down, and I was trying to enjoy myself with the lack of Wi-Fi, the lack of service, but I kept seeing these issues pop up. I think that these topics are very important to discuss. In particular, both the issues with Kat Von D and her decision to not vaccinate her child, as well as the Jackie Aina situation, in which she accused a drama channel of stealing $1,500 from her bank account. And there's also some more minor issues, such as Jeffree Star on Snapchat rants trying to appeal to a broader demographic with emotion and trying to redeem his character. Also, I will briefly touch on the death of a major rapper and how that kind of affected some people in the beauty community that, I guess, had differing opinions than the general public on his death. So let's just get right into it. I wanted to first talk about the Jackie Aina situation. This is something that piqued my interest because it was right after the Kat Von D scandal broke out. I was, I guess, blissfully engaged with it in that I wanted to treat it as like kind of a minimal drama issue, but it actually turned out to be a lot more than that. It was an issue of fraud, theft, something that could lead to federal problems and international problems as well, because this was an international case. So if you guys aren't familiar, I'll give a brief rundown. There's the account of Jackie Aina, who you guys probably know if you're on my channel. You probably know her as one of the bigger beauty influencers, and then the other party, who you may not know, is by the name, or the channel name I should say, of Petty Paige. Her real name is Paige Christine, I believe, and she is a quote-unquote drama channel. And drama channels are pretty popular in the beauty community because there is just so much tension with us. I don't really know why all we do is put on foundation. I just don't, I will never understand that, but it is important to engage yourself in some of the politics that go on in the beauty community because it's very capitalist and sometimes things aren't handled properly. So Paige, as a drama channel, she routinely discussed Jackie Aina on her channel, and at one point she made a video that was popping up on Jackie Aina's suggested video section, and a lot of her fans were watching it and getting a very weird interpretation of how Jackie Aina's arguments were going in a lot of her videos, because she is a very opinionated woman, proudly. So Jackie Aina kind of blocked the video, or attempted to. It was put back up, and there was just a lot of drama associated with it. And after this video was terminated for that period of time, Jackie Aina and Petty Paige's parties were kind of in discussion with each other through business email. And I guess what happened is that when this email exchange went down, Petty Paige saw Jackie Aina's business email, and I guess Jackie assumed that Petty Paige hacked into her email, signed her up for a bunch of different websites, and kind of tried to do that to disguise the fact that she was hacking into her bank account and her bank information. And all of a sudden she ran out of $1,500 mysteriously from this whole problem and believed that it was connected to the Paige situation. Now, what this did for me when I first watched it was, I got a kick out of it, I have to be honest. I thought that it was very ironic because I had watched a couple of Paige's videos and I don't really like her as a person or her character. And so I kind of blissfully watched this Get Ready With Me, which is now deleted, by the way, where Jackie hints to this situation. And it was a fast fiasco that I didn't really expect to take the turn that it did, because then Paige made a response video to it and kind of hinted that her partner is in IT and could actually lose his job over this if the scandal proved to be true or was even investigated by the FBI or whatever respective agency is in the UK where she's from. Been something that would follow her for the rest of her life criminally. Then, after videos and Twitter discussions, Jackie Aina wanted to make up with Paige and she wanted to kind of handle it like adults. But people were harping on Jackie for this because she didn't take it seriously at first. I have to admit that if something like that happened to me, I would have definitely fallen under the scope of paranoia and had been very worried that the situations that were happening to me on one end of the spectrum were connected to the traumatizing events that were happening to me on the other end. So I would have probably assumed the same thing, because who would find my business email besides people that wanted to hurt me? And if somebody was already hurt by me first, then they would probably do it back to me. So I understood the whole situation, but what I'm really trying to get at here is how this is going to play out with YouTube as a whole. Peter Mon, who's another drama channel, or he's also a candle review company, he kind of discussed this without mentioning names, but discussed the situation because he wanted to see if YouTube was going to do anything about this. Because to be on this platform with 1 million people following you as your audience and to make such rash accusations, for a whole group of people just not even question it, as well as people like me who may have found it entertaining and may have believed it at face value without discussing it, because like I said, I didn't really like Petty Paige and I don't really trust a lot of drama channels in the first place. I didn't believe that Paige had any credibility here, so I kind of blindly followed what Jackie was saying because I love her and I do trust her. And I realize now that that was a mistake on my part. Peter Mon made a very good point, like, what is YouTube going to do about this situation? What will happen in the future for YouTube? And that, as a small creator, worries me, because already we saw the whole Logan Paul situation and also the PewDiePie situation as well, where ads were very hard to get on your videos now because of demonetization over the smallest problems in your video. And there's just so many problems that are associated for smaller accounts to get their stuff noticed because of ads, because of capitalism in general. And now we're probably going to have this other factor of hyper surveillance. Any video that we put up, who knows, the FBI might be involved and take into consideration what we're saying and accusations that we're making in a video. For example, this video right now that I'm making could be taken under surveillance and analyzed, and I could potentially get it taken down or be sued for what I say in a video. Now, I understand that making rash accusations should be handled in a diplomatic fashion and should be taken very seriously if they are false, but I'm just worried about what this is going to do for people who have smaller accounts that never do anything wrong but will automatically be accused of doing the wrong thing because we have a smaller following. I don't want to say that people with millions of subscribers aren't also kind of butt-fucked over these YouTube regulations, but I could potentially get strikes on my channel, I could get my videos taken down, and I could lose the headway that I already don't have as it is for my channel because of the unpopularity of this situation. I feel like a lot of people have learned their lesson from this situation to not do that, but there still needs to be action taken, and the action is going to affect us as small creators directly. It could be very detrimental to both me and my videos and my content. Now to get into the Kat Von D vaccination situation, I'm just going to be very brief on this because I missed out on all of the drama because this happened right before my vacation and I didn't get to discuss it. But Kat Von D, if you didn't know, is a both tattoo artist and also she runs a makeup company. She is openly vegan and she just recently got married and it has a baby on the way. Now, because of her vegan beliefs, she has openly decided to not only not go to the hospital to have her child or accept any injections or anything like that to have a natural childbirth, which is, in my opinion, really great. But she has decided to have a wet nurse and a doula. And also what she pointed out is that she's deciding to not vaccinate her child. And this obviously has created a big uproar in not only the makeup community, but just in holistic communities in general, because this is not exactly something that is optional for a lot of people, including myself. It hits close to home for me because I went to SUNY New Paltz, and for a lot of you, you may not know this, but if you're in the New York area, which a lot of you who follow me are because you're from my school, there was the mumps outbreak, and it was a scary time at my school because a lot of people were infected, and it affected people's education, it affected safety precautions, it affected athletics, it affected a lot of things, and it was a very traumatic time. Lots of people were missing class, and some people had to delay their graduation, and it was just it was a complex time. And I was thinking, you know, who was the motherfucker that didn't get vaccinated? Because all it took was one person to have this problem and just spread a much more dangerous version of this virus to other people that could have been prevented. So this hits close to home for me, and as it does with probably a lot of you. And it's just very uncomfortable that she decided to do this because she believes that the testing of vaccinations on animals, and because of that animal cruelty, she has decided that she doesn't want to influence that on her child. Raising her child vegan is one thing, but deciding to not vaccinate your child because of vaccinations being tested on animals, I don't really agree with that. You know, for the sake of science, I understand it. I understand testing on animals. I literally have friends who were in the bio club that took care of mice and axolotls and snakes. Like, I understand testing on animals for the purpose of science. When it comes to makeup, it's a different story. I don't agree with it. I do have a couple of products from brands that do test on animals, but I don't want to purchase much more from companies that do test on animals. Regardless, I don't agree with, you know, testing products on animals, and I agree with her for trying to be vegan in all those aspects, but for her to equate, I guess, testing makeup on animals and then testing vaccinations on animals and conflating them as two like equally terrible things, in my opinion, is really awful. Because I know that a lot of people wanted to say like, oh, she probably thinks that it causes autism like all those people, but her explanation had me thinking that she had a different opinion on it, and that it was because of testing it on animals that she didn't want it to be given to her child, which I just don't understand either, because it's not the same as testing a cosmetic on an animal. It's not as bad, it's not frivolous, it's something that's important, and it's something that your child desperately needs. And for a lot of kids that physically can't get immunized, it's very important that other kids do, because you can easily get these diseases, and it happened in my local area. So it's not a joke. It's not something that is completely gotten rid of. And so for people to not take this seriously, especially someone with that much power and influence, is very heartbreaking. And you know, I hope that kid is very healthy, and as a child to a celebrity, I have no doubt that they will be very taken care of. But the minute that kid gets a cough, there's going to be an issue. And there's a lot of other things that kids get immunized for today that they didn't back in my day. So, you know, it's important to do that. Makeup is definitely not a necessity, is not important, but immunizing your child and preventing it from getting preventable diseases is very important. That's just my opinion on the matter. And for all of the makeup influencers and other influencers of different calibers that kind of supported this, I don't understand where you're at. Like, I understand supporting a woman for her decisions to raise her child, because that is a very big part of feminism in general, but to support a woman's decision to possibly endanger her child and other children, not necessarily a fan of that. Next, briefly, I want to discuss is Jeffree Star. This is just random because he didn't necessarily do anything terrible, but I just have seen kind of the take that YouTubers have been taking recently, which is more emotional, more unguarded, uninhibited videos where they're kind of revealing themselves. This was very popularized, I think, from Shane Dawson's videos that he did with Graveyard Girl. It's a very odd trend, and I don't think I'm alone in saying that. Like, why is it popular now and more marketable now for people to expose their inner selves? I don't really get it. I personally did it because I wanted to show myself to people more, because I am very new channel and people don't know me, and I feel like that's a better way to get a one-on-one conversation with my subscribers. For whatever reason, people are doing this a lot even though they have large followings, and I've noticed that Jeffree Star has kind of done this kind of inconspicuously, and this is not to say that all the things that have been happening in his life aren't really upsetting, you know, losing friendships, his aunt having cancer, things going on with his boyfriend's family as well, things being brought up in his personal life such as his dad committing suicide. All these things are very important, very tragic, very upsetting, but I think that he is doing it in a way where it's kind of getting a response that just seems to be doing it in a way that is emotionally manipulative. I think that given the circumstances of popularity on YouTube right now, and just the coincidence of him speaking out about his personal life, even though he rarely talks about it unless it has something to do with his boyfriend or his business. He never really discusses it unless it is in situations like this. Obviously, I'm not saying that he's staging anything or that anything's fake, because that's very irresponsible and disrespectful, and I would never say something like that, because he has been through a lot of trauma in his life. Even if I don't like him as a person, I could even admit that what he's going through is very hard and very terrible. But I just think that it's a very convenient thing for, you know, for his production of different palettes and different products to be coming out around the same time that he's deciding to be open with us. And I think that not just him, but a lot of influencers are in a way taking advantage of this new spin that YouTube is going off of for popular videos, where people are revealing their emotions and talking about themselves more, and for him to kind of go along with that and kind of expose himself. I feel like it is cheating viewers and playing on people's emotions. What's going to happen after all of those emotions are revealed and you actually have to focus on a different trend later on down the road? Whole idea of, you know, being honest with your subscribers isn't going to last too long, and I think that not just Jeffree, but other YouTubers that are taking advantage of that and kind of playing into people's feelings to try to get more views and to get more sales on their products is very capitalistically irresponsible. I don't know, that was just really problematic for me. Another thing that was really problematic for the beauty community, which was it affected us in a very small way, but it is very interesting and touchy subject. Recently, I don't even want to say his name, you guys know who it is, but he recently passed away, and throughout his life, which was a very brief life, he was only 20 when he passed, he abused his ex-girlfriend who was pregnant, he beat up a gay man in jail for looking at him, and after he passed, you know, there was obviously his respective fan base and people that were, you know, upset about it, and then there were other people that were kind of glad that he was dead because he gave his abuse victims peace. But there were a lot of influencers who wished his family well and said rest in peace and didn't really think about their words in this type of situation, because I think that it's very irresponsible to say these things when the person in question was not necessarily a very good person. Terrible things that he did to other people that affected them for the rest of their lives, physically and mentally and emotionally. And for beauty influencers like Manny MUA and Alyssa Ashley to commemorate him and give condolences, I just found that to be a little bit irresponsible towards their bases, because a lot of us have experienced trauma, homophobia, and abuse in relationships as women, and I just think for a lot of them and other people to not necessarily wish them well, but wish their families well and things like that, I just don't think that that was very smart or very opportune for the time. Nobody's saying that they needed to bash him, but I think that for them to neglect their their own personal fan bases for the sake of saying goodbye to an abuser. I don't think that that was very responsible. For the people that were victims of homophobia, either at his hands or the hands of other people, were victims of abuse in domestic violence situations, either with him or with other people. I think seeing that was probably very triggering, very upsetting, and I think that the whole situation was just very bizarre. It was a very rough day for a lot of people on both ends of the spectrum, and I think that beauty influencers need to be a little bit more wise about what their words actually mean. I think that is the last topic for this video. Hopefully it's not too long, and hopefully I made a lot of sense. If you want to discuss this further, then go ahead and say what you want in the comments. I'll be here, and hopefully we could have some proper discussions, because it's a very frustrating time in the beauty community right now, and hopefully we could get everything settled very soon. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next video, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.